Hey friends, Kim from StampingImperfection.com. I'm here with a video today from 7Kids Craft Studio with the September release, and I'm going to be using Halloween Fairies and Halloween Kids. These two stamp sets are fantastic. They have a bunch of fun images. The Halloween Kids coordinates with the Pizzeria stamp set and the Ice Cream Parlor stamp set. I used the little Frankenstein and I tried to color him in green. You can see a couple of the other kid images. Plus there's a lot of little extra stamps that you see that I colored there. And quite a few sentiments also that I haven't stamped it all yet. The other stamps that I have there, the four larger ones, are from the Halloween Fairies. Those are just so sweet. I love them. So I'm going to use a combination of those, and I still have some I haven't colored. I stamped a whole bunch of images from those two stamp sets, colored in a bunch of them, and then I cut them all out with my brother's Scan and Cut. So I am going to mostly use the Halloween Fairies, but I am going to use a few images from the Halloween Kids. Now today I'm going to use my Gelli plate. Specifically, I'm going to use my little round one. Kelly has the 6x6 inch, or excuse me, she has a 6-inch round one. That's that one there. And this is a 5x7, but Kelly has in the 7Kids Craft Store a 6x6 inch square one, which is really nice. I just bought this set of smaller shapes after doing a project with Allie Edwards in her One Little Word class, and I love doing jelly printing. I use these all the time, and those are very well loved, my large ones. I often use them for acrylic paints, and I create a lot of backgrounds. I love to do art journal pages with them. Today I'm going to use my Distress Oxides because I really only want to make a couple of these backgrounds, and the Distress Oxides are a little bit neater for me, so I'm going to use this circle one because I want a little circle background. And since I'm using Halloween images, I'm trying to sort of go for a like a nighttime circle background is what I'm basically going for. Now you do need a brayer. This is a very old brayer. I bet I've had that for at least 25 years. It's an old speedball brayer. They're still available. It is still in fantastic shape. I don't see any reason to actually purchase another one. This is the first time I'm using these small shapes, so I'm kind of excited about doing this. And I'm using fossilized amber. I'm using the blueprint sketch, and I'm using, no, that's chip sapphire, and I'm using seedless preserves. These are my 3 favorite colors to create night skies. So just to show you, like, I'm just kind of braying off the color. I probably took a lot of color off there when I did that, but I always have a piece of paper beside me to brayer on. Isn't that pretty? I love the texture you get in this. I feel like mixed media is all about texture and dimension and layers and layers and layers. I'm not doing a lot of layers today. I just wanted to show you a quick way to make a background that it's very colorful. You don't have any control over it. Every one of these will turn out different. I'm using the same 3 colors for each one, and I love this is a 3-inch round one, and it came with the square and it came with the triangle, so I bought it as a set, and I really like this. This has a lot of potential for me, for all kinds of things that I want to do with it. But I love that it's making that little circle. Like, I'm not doing any masking or stenciling or anything like that. I'm getting this, there's no ink blending here. This is so simple. I just wanted to make one, but I do have a whole stack of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 pieces of white cardstock there. So I do clean off my brayer with a baby wipe every 2 or 3 images, and you can see that I clean off my brayer and I dab the excess ink on that page that I have to the side there, and I'll keep those because eventually I'll do more with those and they will become die cuts or backgrounds. So of course you can't do just one of these. You've got to do a whole bunch of them because it's out, you have it out, you're doing the work. So, it's so simple. In 10 minutes you can create a ridiculous number of backgrounds. So some are lighter, some are darker. It depended on how much I brayered it and whether it was a second inking or whatever, but you can see it's so simple. You just put your ink on, brayer it to smooth it out a little bit, and then put your paper down and just hold the paper in place and then rub the back of the paper and pull it off, and boom, you have a background. So simple. And it's amazing. There are so many more techniques to this that you can do, and I will share those with you because I love using this. I've done a couple videos in the past, but I really love this little round piece because look at the cards I'm going to be able to make with these. Like, that was a simple background to make. So now I'm going to start putting these together. I went and die cut a bunch of other pieces. So to start with, I'm going to make a card, and I die cut, this is actually a limey green, like sparkle paper, glimmer paper, whatever you call it, glitter paper. And I die cut a scallop frame from that. And I don't know what kind of dies you have in your stash. And if you don't have a stash of dies yet or a die cutting machine, this is something you definitely want to add. And I highly recommend getting a set of circles of different sizes and a set of scallop circles of different sizes. And the same thing with squares and ovals. And I do love the scalloped ones. This particular one is nice because it does have a stitch detail. And I'm just keeping this simple because I do intend to mail these. So I am just gluing everything with it. Tombow glue. I love that glue. It's still inexpensive. I put a foam dot on the back of the pumpkin and the cat, and I'm just putting that aside because later I'll make sentiments for all of these things. So my second project, I die cut a scallop tag. I love making tags, so I have a lot of scallop dies. And this is one of them. This is actually a set of two. There's a smaller scallop circle and a larger scallop circle. I also have the set of two square scallop squares in two different sizes. I use it all the time. All the time. I love it. So tags are another thing. I make a lot of tags around holiday times, and I use them. Like, I make all my own Christmas tags, and I don't buy anything like that anymore. So I just added that adorable green fairy. I made her green. You can make her whatever color you want. And I am just adding some twine. That is from Catherine Pooler's twine collection. If a baker's twine is another thing that if you don't have in your stash, you definitely want. This is an example of a set. I have two sets of circle dies, and they're different, two different sets, so they're different sizes. They're great because you can actually make frames and do all kinds of things. Those are essential. So for the second card, I created another top panel. This is still 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I just die cut out a circle that was about the same size as the that jelly plate that I created the background. And I didn't quite get the jelly plate in the middle, so I'm kind of lining that up so the circle I die cut actually lines up with the jelly roll background. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. I just love the color combination. It doesn't really look like a sky, but I just think it's so pretty. And again, I am just putting this little frame. This was one I had previously made and had left over. This is just white glimmer paper. Fairies should have sparkle, so, glimmer frames are important. So I've got this cute little fairy in a pumpkin. Like, isn't she adorable? And I did her headband and her flower in purple, so I really liked that background for it. I think that is just the sweetest. And, I'm not putting a lot of stuff on these, and these cards have not taken me a long time to do. Now, my intention when I started was I have lots of cellophane bags. I really just wanted to make some bag toppers for Halloween for the 2 kids that live in the neighborhood and always come by. So I am pulling out, that's what this one's going to be. So I'm pulling out my little portable spellbinders, and I'm going to take that background panel that I made, and I'm putting a circle die that's the same size as that circle, that background circle, and I'm going to use a piece of washi tape and tape that in place. I do not want to cut this whole circle out. I only want to cut the top half because this is going to be a bag topper and I want it to fold over the bag, but I want that panel with my little Frankenstein to pop up. So notice that I put that top plate only on the top half of that, and that's the only part I ran through. If I ran it through the rest of the way, it wouldn't cut the bottom half because that top cutting plate only covered the top half, and you can see only the top half of that is cut. I use this technique at holiday time to make place cards with whatever fun stamp set I've created. Like, I do this all the time. I love this little technique. I'll do it on a smaller scale for the place cards. So now you can see I've got that all done. I had a little adhesive there. So I'm pulling out my score buddy and I'm just going to score it where the cutting ended. So I can see where that is, and I'm just lining up my scoring tool with the closest line and trying to get the left side even with the right side so that I can fold over that top piece. And I just had to clip it a little down to the line that I scored so that the whole thing would pop up, and then I can just fold that top part down, and that will go over the top of the bag. It's like you buy bags of candy in the store and they have these little paper toppers on them. That's exactly what I'm creating here. I'm just creating my own version. This one's a little bit long, and it's longer in front than in back. So I'm just going to take my trimmer and trim that down. And, I'm just making my own version of a bag topper. Now you can buy bag topper dies, but, it's so simple to do something like this. Once you have the supplies, it's so simple. This is a very old corner rounder, and I decided I wanted to round all 4 corners on this. So that's what I'm doing. You have a corner rounder in your stash. I'm sure if you don't have a corner rounder, you definitely want a corner rounder. I recommend the Crocodile one. This is a very old Creative Memories one. This is probably from the late 90s, mid to late 90s. So to finish this off, I'm just going to pop this little guy up on some foam. And I'm going to pop that bat up on some foam and attach them to the front. I'm not putting a lot. You could put way more of these cute images on. But I just wanted a few images on each one. I wanted to make a variety of things today to show you that you can make these jelly plate backgrounds and then you can do a bunch of different things with them. They're just so much fun. But I promise you, if you start making them, you won't make just one. So I put just one bat on there. You could put several bats on there. You could put a couple little cats and pumpkins. There's a spider web you could add. There are a couple candles you could add. So, that's that. Now to finish these off, I have pulled out some, enamel stars and hearts and dots, and I took the trick or treat sentiment from the Halloween fairies because I really liked that one. And when I did it in black and white, I thought it didn't contrast enough. So I'm just using a Tombow Mono sanded eraser. It's like $2. And I'm erasing off the little ink smudges I got because my hands never stay clean when I do mixed media projects. So I'm just going to trim these down. So I heat embossed these in white embossing powder on black cardstock. This is just a scrap piece of black. And I did 4 of them. I did them all the same. So I just got a piece of hair there. Sorry about that. And I'm just going to glue that on. I'm not putting a ton of foam or anything like that. I'm just trying to keep it simple. So now I'm just picking out what color would I like to put there. And I'm going to choose one of the oranges. Now these are enamel dots, and that one just flew off the page. So these are enamel dots that I've had in my stash for a long time. I'm working really hard to use up stuff in my stash before I buy new stuff. So this is my goal. And I put 3 stars on what I was hoping looked sort of like a night sky, maybe in October. And then I put 2 little hearts underneath the sentiment. And I'm just going to demonstrate how I will put this together. I will put some candy in there, but to protect myself, I am not buying candy till Halloween Day. So, because I know that if I buy candy now, it won't be here on Halloween Day. So even if I seal it in that bag, I just use my little tiny attacher, my little tiny stapler, and just staple it in two places. And that is that. That is how I do it. So I'm going to tuck this like right below that little pumpkin fairy. She's my favorite. I know I shouldn't have favorites, but I do. She's just so sweet. And I'm going to put some yellow stars, and I'm going to just put those around the sentiment. I love that, I've got a couple pretty cards there. So simple. Like, look how simple that was. It took nothing. Now, that's just a card front. I will attach that to a card base with some double-sided adhesive tape and send that out. Now, here's another thing you can do. You can take a tag like this and just tie it around a cellophane bag. And if you don't have cellophane bags, you can get them in huge quantities on Amazon. You can also go, Michael's sells all that cake decorating stuff. You can buy these kinds of bags there as well. So at any stamp store. So I'm just cutting down my sentiment. I'm going to add some more glue. Then I'm going to add some enamel dots. And I'm just going to let this hang off the side. I think that is super cute. And yes, that will also have candy in it. So I'm just picking out some dots, and I'm going with the yellow again because I really like the yellow with the green. I'm going to put a couple stars and then one little heart next to the sentiment. Actually, I'm going to put that above the I where the dot should go. Is that called an umlaut? It's got a special name. But while you're here, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and please give this video a thumbs up. I'm going to put all the links to the 7 Kids Craft Store below so that you can go there and check out these stamp sets. There are 5 stamp sets in the September release. This is my second video, so I'm sharing 2 different stamp sets here than I shared in my first one. And in my third video, I'll share the other 2 as well. So they're just so sweet. So this one's getting orange. I love that spider. He was nice and big and easy to color. So I started out to make just some bag toppers, but I ended up getting some other cute projects. I got these 2 cards, and I will add those to card bases later. I got tags, and I got that little gift bag topper, and you can see how easy it was. And I just used 2 stamp sets today. There are actually 5 sets in this release. I shared a video last Saturday with the foraging fairies, and there's another fairy set I'll share in my next video. And then the Halloween kids, look at all the images, all those little images you get in there. Like, there's just so many, and great sentiments. There's a nice one for inside cards there at the bottom, so super fun, and you can make a garland there. So that's a super fun stamp set. So I'm going to put all the links to the 7 Kids store below so you can check out these stamp sets, and you can check out that 6-inch square and that 6-inch round jelly plate that Kelly has, because those big ones you do just the same way, and then you just cut them down. You can get a few backgrounds out of just one of those. So you cut them down to the size that you need, but look how simple it was to make those. I got interesting projects out of them as well, and they're so pretty. Everyone is different. So please stop by my blog at StampingImperfection.com. Sign up for my newsletter. I send out a weekly or bi-weekly project tutorial, and make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe while you're here.